Hi everybody, my name is Krista and today we are going to varnish this leopard painting. This painting has already been oiled out using Galkyd and Gamvar. That gives my painting a relatively even shine even before I start the varnishing process, and this will be really helpful to ensure that this painting is going to have a perfect surface after the varnishing. If you want to know more about oiling out a painting, feel free to watch my video on oiling out a painting before varnishing. For this painting I'm going to use the Gamvar varnish from the Gamblin company. I'm going to use the matte. It has little particles suspended in there to just prevent an excessive shine on the painting. If you use the matte, it is important to give it a bit of a mix just to make sure that those particles are evenly suspended in the varnish so that you can have an even shine on your painting. So what I'm going to do for this specific painting, I'm going to use 1 part of the Gamvar to 10 parts of the varnish. So I'm just going to measure that quickly. You will find that after previous varnishing sessions that your brush is going to be relatively stiff, and it can be a problem with certain types of varnish, but with the Gamvar what I do, I just dip it in my solution of varnish that I'm going to use today, and as I dip it you will see that the bristles are going to be pliable again and it's going to be like a new fresh brush. So we are ready to start with the varnishing process now, and I always make sure to just put a very small amount of varnish on my brush, and I try and varnish as evenly as I can. Just putting on that really thin layer of varnish. You can see it brings back the life to the painting, and it looks like it's what it looked like when it was freshly done, when the paint was still wet. Just check the surface against the light all the time. Just make sure that I don't miss any spots and that I'm applying it in a really even manner. So when using the Gamvar varnish, it is really important to make sure that you put on a really thin layer. If you put on the Gamvar too thick, it's not going to dry properly and it's going to stay sticky. That can be really frustrating. But if you make sure that it's just a really thin layer, then you're not going to have that problem. And you'll see that I go over some of the areas that I've already varnished. While my varnish is really nice and wet, this is not an issue. If the varnish is becoming a bit sticky already, if it's starting to dry, that can be an issue, and you might have some brush marks if you do it in that case. Now it's especially important on the edges to make sure that you don't apply a very thick layer of varnish there. So I keep on checking against the light to just make sure that I haven't missed any spots, and if I see a little dull spot that I've missed, I'll just go over that again. See, there's quite a thick layer in that area. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go over my whole painting in this direction with long even strokes. Just to make sure that I distribute this evenly over the whole painting. And if I see any brush marks, I just go over that area to make sure that I get rid of them. I can see some brush marks here in this direction, so I'm just going to go over that. And a little bit of Gamsol that I mixed in with my varnish, that makes my varnish a little bit more fluid and just makes it easier for it to spread thinly over the painting. So I'm just going to check against the light now, make sure that there are no little spots that I've missed. And that there are no excessive brush marks that are visible. And using a very light stroke, and what I do, I try for most of my bristles to make contact going like this and not like this, and that just makes it easier to get a very smooth surface. So very, very light touch. I go over the painting to make sure that there are no brush strokes visible. It is a little bit more difficult to varnish a larger painting like this compared to a really small one, but you just have to keep on walking around the painting, looking against the light. If there are any brush marks, just get rid of that. But as the varnish is drying, it will even out itself to a large extent as well. One more thing that I'm going to do before the varnish is drying, I'm just going to wipe the edges here, because sometimes you get a little bit of an overflow of varnish on the edges of your painting here, and if you have that, especially with the Gamvar, that's going to be sticky. It's not going to dry properly, so I'll just make sure that I check all the edges. While the varnish is drying, you're going to notice that some areas appear to be very shiny while other areas are a little bit more dull. Just give it time. As soon as the varnish is completely dry, this will be evened out. Well, here we are a few hours later, and the varnish is dry and the surface is absolutely silky and smooth and perfect. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know, and if there are any specific videos that you would like me to make, also just let me know in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.